Alright peeps, how we doing? Hope you're having a nice chilled autumn evening like myself. Wee bit of kind of positive news. My kid's mum's filled out an application for a rehab centre up north. So I've put my contact details down for her so that they can get in touch with me and I'll fucking walk her up there myself if I have to, do you know what I mean? Anything to see alright people get better, do you know what I mean? Lost people, uh, people who are malicious and evil and just bringing horribleness to people's lives, do you know what I mean? Uh, it was actually pretty tragic because my ex-partner, um, her daughter, who's also my son's sister, tragically lost her dad at the weekend. Poor lassie, you know what I mean? She's only 19, started uni and all that, man. Just, it's a shame, you know what I mean? You don't get her shit like that, you know what I mean? He was only a couple of years younger than myself, so it just makes you reassess, put things into perspective. Well, it does for me anyway, um, especially being where I've been in my life and what I've done in my life and all this kind of stuff. So my heart goes out to the lassie, you know what I mean? Just sad as fuck. But moving on, so I watched the Inside Barlinnie programme. Brought back a lot of memories, and just looking at it was weird, to be honest. The way the staff are, and like I seen kind of a few staff members that I remember from my time there. Big Mr. Gunn, I'm sure he was a PTI when I was there. During one of my stints there, should I say. Decent enough. Do you know what I mean? The PTIs usually are. For any of you that don't know what a PTI is, it's just like the gym instructor, do you know what I mean? Just a screw in Jim's clays. Seen another screw who worked in Sea Hall when I was there, Mr. Smart, and he was actually playing some games with the son of a well-known organised crime figure who was my cellmate at the time. No say the boy's name, but he was no letting him out for the phone, no letting him out for his showers, no giving him his mail, all that shit. Don't know if he had a personal issue with him or he was just picking on him cause of his surname, I don't know, but it was just weird to sit and watch, because this is quite an imposing structure, if you want to, if you want to look at it that way. Barlinnie prison, right? It's probably the most intimidating looking prison in Scotland because of how old it is, the size of it as well. And when I go in there anytime, it's almost like it's like your brain's on autopilot, but you've got sensory overload at the same time. Now, what I mean by that is you're taking in every wee noise, wee cheese jangling, kettles boiling, people shouting, doors slamming, doors banging, windies breaking, fucking whatever, people screaming, and your brain's trying to, well, my brain is, I don't know about any of yours, but anytime I go in there, my brain's processing every fucking wee tiny movement. Like, I would hear a fucking mouse fart on the fucking flare in there, mate. I'm no kidding. Um, it's quite an experience. And to think that the first time I ever set foot in there, I was 15, right? November 1997. I was a 15-year-old schoolboy, and as I've explained in loads of other videos and podcasts, that I was charged with abducting two social workers when I was 15, so a schoolboy. So legally, I wasn't even legally allowed to go to prison. I was too young, but I never spent the night in Barlinnie. I get put in a dug box. Well, when I came off the bus, so back then it wasn't Reliance and G4S, it was what we called the bar bus. It was just this big long blue prison bus. It had no windows, it just had like mad long slits at the top for fucking sunlight or air, I don't know. And it was the cops that used to take you up, and yous would be handcuffed either in pairs. Some of yous would be handcuffed letting freeze or this shit. And I remember sitting on it and thinking like, this was how fucking fried my head was back then. Like, obviously I thought like, I'm gonna meet people in here, they're gonna teach me how to do big turns. For those of you who don't know what a turn is, it's like fucking robberies, make money through doing bad things, basically illegal things, whatever. And that's gonna fucking set me up, right? um, and when I get off the bus, there was three of us put in one dog box, right? Um, and I remember, so there was a boy sitting down on the wee seat, right? You can't sit two people on this seat, mate. You're lucky if you can get your two arse cheeks on it, right? And I'm standing like next to this other cunt, man, and he had a big hooked nose with this wart on the end of it like a witch, man, and it's like right up it. And I'm like, like, fuck's sake, man, like, but see, back then, I think I was just that numb, like, um, it was like everything that had been happening for maybe the 4 year up to that, 5 year up to that, whatever, had already prepped me for this type of experience, which probably tells its own story about the kind of desensitization of a lot of people who pass through its doors. Because if you want to kind of hang with it, like, almost everybody's got the same backstory. Growing up in drug addicted families, alcoholism, maybe domestic violence, fucking physical abuse, sexual abuse, or all these abuses, just neglect, whatever. Losing a parent at a young age, all this kind of stuff. And when the screws found out what age I was, they put me in a dug box on my own. And do you know how I passed the time reading the graffiti on the walls, right? And it was some of the funniest things that I've ever read. And one thing in particular that I remember, and I think I said it somewhere else, was there used to be this bank advert, TSB, the bank that likes to say thank you, but somebody had drawn this wee guy, see like my Tin Pail logo, like the wee guy with the bars, and it said TSB, the bank that likes to say help, it's a robbery. And I was sitting watching that, like reading all these mad mentions and shit, because to be fair, some of the funniest characters you'll ever meet are in these places, right? Um, but that was my first experience where had been in it maybe say 5 6 years, whatever. Went to Long again for a week, on to Kerlaw. But the funny thing was, obviously, when I explained about when I absconded for Kerlaw, I ended up back in Barlinnie, and that was overnight. They put me in B Hall, but because I was on a strict escapee for absconding, I was in a cell myself, and it was these mad itchy they're called we called them the itchy blankets or the jaggy blankets. It was like fucking, oh, I don't even know what material this was, but it was like sleeping with a Brillo pad, like a blanket that was just, you know what a Brillo pad is, right? Imagine one of them, but it was a blanket sized thing and you had to sleep with that early. It was like that. You couldn't sleep with it, man. You'd need to sleep with your clothes on. Know what I mean? But in obviously they'd nae in-cell sanitation and the hall was always stinking of piss. Like pure stinking of piss, right? Just, and I think the Screws had a definitely different kind of perspective back then, shall we say, about the people in their keep. There was a lot of kind of barking orders and all that kind of stuff, growling, who do you think you're talking to, and all that shit that's just not going to get you anywhere with a lot of people going there. But in saying that, when you look at a lot of the people who were on this programme, right, you had guys like Jimmy Boyle, Johnny Boy Steele, people, Larry Winters, people that go way back, right, to when this 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 penal system was unrecognisable to the penal system that we have now, right? And the when I heard Jimmy Boyle talking about stuff, he was saying about because obviously he's doing a life sentence, right? And you need to kind of put things into perspective when you're doing that kind of sentence as opposed to the revolving door type. And he was saying about some of the things that he would be doing and how he was trying to like hurt as many staff as he could and all this kind of stuff. And even like when Johnny Boysdale was talking about his experiences, you're sitting just going, when I went there compared to when they were there, there's no comparison, mate. When I went there, it must have been like Disneyland compared to when they were there, but it's still tough enough for somebody 15, 18, 20, 21, whatever. It's still your experience, do you know what I mean? But the staff, when they were kind of serving their time, they almost sounded like cons in uniform. And it makes you kind of think that the prison system back then was almost the flip side of the people that they had in custody. And what I mean by that is they would brutalise, dehumanise, degrade prisoners and think that they must have thought that was alright or that was just how it was then. Aye, alright, I get that. That's how it was and things change and things evolve, whatever, but does it not say something about people? Like the Stanford experiment where it's like we're all wearing a uniform so it levels out the culpability, it spreads out the blame, or like Nuremberg, or I was just following orders. Like, did nannies ever think to go, here, wait a minute, something's wrong here, where we're battering fuck out of somebody because he wrecked his cell because we refused to give him his dinner, or we refused to let his visitors in for the third time in a row. If you're capable of doing that, then you're not really any better than the people who you profess to rehabilitate, if you ask me. And that's how I mean, like, these kind of, shall we call it, conflict resolution strategies, they just sound like, they almost sound like, the cons and the Screws back then almost sounded like two sides of the same coin, because cons would see an injustice and kick off. Screws would just single a couple of them out and beat fuck out them team-handed, and then everybody would kick off and smash the halls up, set fires, destroy everything. Because one thing prisoners are good at is destructive behaviour, and I think that's pretty evident for the fact that they're already in there. But you've got to imagine what kind of, when that screw takes his uniform off and he goes home, when he's sitting in the bottom of a bottle of whiskey, or body eating a fucking bag of gear or whatever, what's going through his head? Is he using that to cope with the fact that what he's just done? Because if you were committing this kind of behaviour and no feeling conflicted about it, then I would be questioning how you even got a job there in the first place, because you're supposed to be there to reform and rehabilitate. Do you know what I mean? But you're just fanning the flames. And don't get me wrong, prisoners can be their own worst enemies. Know what I mean? Not going to sit and it's not an apologia for prisoners and criminals. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, one of them, because I noticed on the programme, right, there was a boy on a dirty protest because he wanted moved jails, right? So a dirty protest basically means you just do a shit in the middle of the cell and fucking plaster it, like, everywhere, right? And he was wanting moved jails, right? And the screw says to him, no, the con says, I can wait another couple of weeks, it makes no difference to me. And the screw says, well, you're just cutting your nose off to spite your face. So what it is it's a battle of ego then. It's a test of wills. It's, you're no backing down and I'm no backing down, and a lot of cons will no fucking back down, do you know what I mean? See if they think they're in the right, or there's some sort of injustice or whatever. And this isn't just in Barlinnie, this is everywhere, mate. This is, do you know what I mean? It's just a prisoner thing. But it's just a fucking, it's an absolute shit show. And the funny thing was, I seen that they were watching an All Firm game. Do you see the All Firm game when they were saying how the noise when one of the team scores, and obviously Celtic scored and every cunt was booting their doors, that wasn't even a lot of noise, man. It's like they probably didn't show you much in it, know what I mean? It's quite wild, but there's never really any, like, nobody comes out and kicks off or nothing, do you know what I mean? There's always banter, aye, and it's like that in every jail, man. The Old Firm's almost like a holiday, a 90-minute holiday, man. It's like, you're all off for 90 minutes, know what I mean? But I noticed that they had other things in there that I had never seen before. Like, it was called the Wellbeing Centre, and it's guys all sitting down, fucking, they've got counselling and a relaxation room where you sit and listen to whales fucking singing, whatever it was, right? No being flippant there, just matter of fact, know what I mean? It's something like that. Relaxation shit, no. So a lot of people in there are just stressed out their fucking nut, or on edge, or anxious, or coming off drugs, do you know what I mean? Heats up their arse, they think their bird's fucking about, whatever, do you know what I mean? You take your pick, man. But I thought that was quite interesting, because one of the things that they had way back that they shut down was the special unit. And obviously this was quite groundbreaking and revolutionary at the same time for penal reform. They'd opened this kind of bit in Barlinnie where all these fucking guys that were just constantly kicking off, stabbing screws, fucking smashing up, having riots, whatever. Guys with big names in the system. Guys like your Porkies or whatever, right? They would all be shipped in here, and they'd be allowed to wear their own clothes and allowed to fucking paint all day, listen to music all day, walk around the fucking yard all day, whatever, right, as opposed to sitting doing whatever, sitting fucking picking your nose in a fucking cubic in a Peter in the normal halls, right? And I remember, and the funny thing was, so they closed it down because there was like scandals and it was like guys were bringing in bottles of booze and fucking shagging their birds, whatever, right? So it kind of lost its direction, its focus, if you want to call it that. But that wellbeing centre kind of reminded me of like a kind of microcosm of the special unit. And the funny thing is, was like the special units they work. See, it's like a therapeutic environment for serious offenders, right? And what pisses me kind of off is, see when something like that works, the penal system always discontinue it. What was wrong with going into the special unit, right? And saying, right, listen, you're taking the fucking cunt, you're bringing birds in, you're bringing hookers in, or whatever, you're sniffing gear off the microwave, whatever they were fucking doing, right? Saying, all this fucking stops or we're shutting this down. It's like they're too easy to get in, I think. And one of the interesting comments I heard was one of the staff members for Barlinnie said, we need to change our attitudes towards prisoners, but I don't know how you do that. Well, do you want me to tell you one of the biggest issues with societal attitudes towards people like us is the media, right? See, when the media is sensationalising shit, writing, like, I think I had said before about how when I was in Shorts, right? Shorts had a football team, obviously it was all home games, right? Can't play away games, know what I mean? So any team that had to play them had to visit the jail, right? And there would be a select few of prisoners who would get out to watch that for care house, right? Care house was the bit of Shorts where you were on your best behaviour. It was like you were waiting to get out, basically, right? So it was always guys for there. So quiet guys, sound guys, whatever. They were all standing up at the fence watching this game in the media, right? And I remember sitting reading this with my wee pal Jai. We were sitting smoking joints, howling at this, right? It said, a baying mob of bloodthirsty prisoners. So if you don't know anything about prison, or if you're a victim of crime, right, or you've been affected by crime or whatever, what kind of imprint do you think that's going to make in the back of your mind? It's almost like a confirmational bias. You've already made your mind up about people like us, so that's just confirming what you already think. So I think the media has got a fucking a crucial part in the way people are looked at coming back from prison, do you know what I mean? It's at the point that I don't even read papers now because, but obviously when I was doing my degree and that, I had to do higher English and you had to critique all these fucking Guardian articles and see, you can actually spot the shitty journalism, if you want to call it that. And I'm not a journalist, but I don't think you need to be to see shitty writing, do you know what I mean? But it's their job, innit? But anyway, so, and the guy who's the governor of Barlinnie, Mick Stoney, right? He was actually the governor of Low Moss prison when I was there when it first opened. And he's actually, he said one thing years ago, right? He actually said, we need to use prisons for people that we're scared of, not people who we're angry with. And I think what he meant by that was, we need to be locking up people that are serious threats to society, violent offenders, right? All that kind of shit. And I include myself in that. I'm not sitting going, oh, my upbringing, oh, boo-hoo. Oh, I should never have been in there, not fucking right, I should have been in there, not I mean. But you need to do the work on yourself in there. That's what's going to change. And I noticed there was a couple of guys like talking about their experiences with drugs and alcohol and when I get out, no, I've done this in here and I've done that. Doing it in there isn't easy, but that is the easy part. The hard part is coming out here and no reacting to triggers, no reacting to temptations, no reacting to this, no reacting to that. Try to fill your time with positive, constructive, whatever, do you know what I mean? You need to, like, because there was a guy there, it was an Albanian guy, and he was talking about how you could tell he loved his weighing, right? The way he was talking about his weighing, I just sat and thought, that was me back then. Like, just, I'm getting out for my weighing and that's it, I don't give a fuck. But they try to take that away from me, man. I think I could pretty easily revert back to previous ways of doing things. I would never want to, and I touch wood, that never ever happens to me, but I do realise that anything's a possibility, do you know what I mean? But it's unlikely, obviously, but do you know what I mean? And the funny thing was, right, see, anytime I see a prison now that I've been in on the telly, I sit and look at it and go, how the fuck did I manage to get through that? I don't think I could handle it anymore, to be honest with you. See, having my son in the life I have now, I think for me to get put back there, I would totally look at prison completely differently. See, before it was water off a duck's back. It really was. It didn't faze me in the slightest, but I think that was a lot down to the life that I was living in the community, like day to day. Do you know what I mean? Fucking, there was just no telling what was going to happen from one day to the next, and that's not a good way to live. But and it was quite weird. See when they were showing you the death chambers and all that. Imagine being in there and waiting to get a fucking rope round your neck. And I get why a lot of people would want that if somebody's killed one of your loved ones. I would probably want it. I'd want to do it myself, to be honest. But it was just fucking mental that we used to do that. Do you know what I mean? We've got it all to play for if we want. Talking about us cons, do you know what I mean? Ex-cons and all that. It's how bad do you want to stay out? How sick a prison are you? Do you know what I mean? And I noticed it mixed on the governor was saying about he hopes that when HMP Glasgow opens up, it's going to kind of be a better example as opposed to Barlinnie with the fucking history of that shithole, know what I mean? And I hope he's right, but time will tell, won't it? Aye. Seen big Samo Ralston on it, big shout out Samo. Soup's good, never getting it. Aye. Big, sounds alright now, man. I mind the last time I seen him in bar, man, he's something fucking heavy fucked up with his voice, man. So Samo, if any's watched it, was the guy that get set about half of the screws in Barlinnie and when the Barlinnie riot kicked off. So, aye, guys, done more porridge in the fucking Three Bears, man. I think he just get sentenced to like 8 years there or something. But aye, was actually in shots with him in 2008, 2009. He used to walk about shouting, "Soup's good, never getting it." anybody that mentions his name, that's what they say. First thing they say, "Soup's good, never getting it." It's like a catchphrase. But be interesting to know what any use for it, especially people who have never been in prison. Cause aye, it's a shithole, and do you know what? No all staff are bad, do you know what I mean? And when you compare, when I think of my experiences and then listening to guys who were doing time for before I was even born, like, it's not even close to the guys' experiences, man. Like, that was like war. That just sounded like straight war, man, honestly. Realising them kind of shit, do you know what I mean? Screws putting you in hospital and getting away with it. They wouldn't get away with that now. Do you know what I mean? Fuck's sake. but just crazy shit, man. But as I say, I'd be interested to know what NE's 40 anyway. I'm got to boost, but I was got to say that I'm got to go live on Friday at 8:30 in case any's are about. So I don't think there's any football on in that. So if any's are on, jump on and we'll see what's fucking happening. Know what I mean? Shout out to the people leaving comments saying you're so uneducated. What do you class as education? I'm not a NED, a non-educated delinquent. I'm an ED, I'm an educated delinquent. So I put on a bit of flowery language for you tonight. Fucking asshole. Anyway, man, fucking take care of yous, man, and I'll see yous on Friday if I'm known before then. Catch yous.